friends my age, they're like complaining about like, I don't know, like the baby and the diapers or something. I'm over here like, oh cool, I almost died. Hi, I'm Alessandra. I was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma stage 2 in 2020. And I live in Rhode Island. I was treated in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So my life outside of cancer is it's kind of cool. I wear many hats. I'm a stand-up comedian. I am a nude model. I'm a psychic. I'm a Reiki master and a death doula. So life isn't boring. August of 2020, I left my retail job to work for myself. So I was home a lot, and I noticed I was getting a lot of panic attacks. So I'm like, maybe it's because I'm home. But then the pain started. So immediately my stomach or my abdomen had a lot of pain that would shoot to the back. I had vertigo. I couldn't eat food. Digestion started to get more difficult. So mine was pretty obvious, I think. It escalated quickly. I was losing a lot of weight. I went to many doctors, many appointments, and was basically told for 2 or 3 months to lose weight. So I went to the ER. I went to my primary, and I went to my gastroenterologist multiple times from August to September. And I just kept saying, I'll be back in 2 weeks because I can't eat. And they just kept telling me to work out, stop eating gluten, things like that. But I wasn't eating. So I wasn't eating much. The frustration level is indescribable because nobody's listening to me. And as a fat person, I've been fat my whole life. So the doctors never listen to me. So it wasn't a surprise that they were telling me these things, but I couldn't get anything out of them. So when I say, self-advocacy is important for everybody, but for fat people, for femmes, for people of color, you need to ask for imaging. You can ask for those things. And I didn't know that until maybe my 4th appointment with my gastro, where I was like, you need to give me imaging because I'm in pain. Like I can't move as well. I can't twist or pose for my modeling work as well. Like something is wrong. And I was in classes and training for my Reiki master certificate. So like I could see, I'm like, there's something in here. Like even energetically, if you believe in that, I knew there was something on my liver area. Like I knew that. I asked for an MRI. And I said, if you don't want to give it to me, put it in my chart that you said no. And she gave me an ultrasound. So that's when my doctor, she called me herself and was like, there is something on your liver, but people have liver spots. Not a big deal. That's when I asked for the MRI again. Mind you, it's been like over 2 months at this point. I think it's October now. And, she called me again herself, and that's when she saw a tumor, was the MRI, which I barely fit in that machine. It was not a fun time. But so I had, I think it was like 5 centimeters by 5 by 7 at the time. And like, that's not small. So ultrasounds are useless in my opinion, but she called me herself and said, my colleague is a surgeon. I'm calling her today so she can get you in an appointment. When I met the surgeon, she was like, so what's going on? And I was like, I can't keep food down and I've lost like 20 pounds. And she said, well, that's good. And I said, thank God I'm a confident person because I honestly, I'm 36. My 20s were literally for gaining self-confidence. Okay. And I literally said, did you just tell me that it's good that I'm not eating because I lost weight? And she didn't answer me. So like, I'm a pretty blunt, I'm Italian from New England. So I'm like pretty blunt, and it really breaks my heart for people that don't speak up, that aren't confident, that will listen to a doctor no matter what. Because people are dying because of that. I would be dead. I would have lasted maybe 6 months. The history of cholangiocarcinoma, not great. So she wanted to do surgery immediately. And she's like, we'll do another scan in like January just to make sure. Cause I stopped my birth control. They were going to see if that had to do with it. And it got much bigger in January. My tumor was much bigger. I think it was 9 by 5-ish centimeters then. So, and again, they just think it's a tumor. Okay. So she wanted to do surgery in March. Okay. Mind you, I'm still working. I'm running 2 businesses. I'm working. My dad isn't feeling well. Like there's a lot going on. And, I had a lot of, she's like, if you have questions about surgery, let me know, because I knew they had to cut me open here, that's kind of scary. I didn't know it was going to be that of a big incision. So I call her and I had like a list of 5 questions. And she said, I have so many questions that I should ask another surgeon for a second opinion. May was when everything was very fast. So I had to have an endoscopy. I had to have a colonoscopy. I had to have more imaging. They didn't know how far it spread. And because now we know it's bile duct cancer, which moves so fast, that my panic attack stopped because I had an answer. I remember almost feeling calm, like, which sounds crazy. Like once they were like, yeah, once they were like, this is cancer and this is what you have, I was like, oh, so I can stop freaking out. Yeah, like literally my anxiety attacks and panic attacks just stopped. And after like I went through all the testing and everything like that, I was like, chill. I remember telling my partner, I'm like, okay, so I want to be cremated, this, and that. Like I went through the thing. um, but I remember being really calm in May, and like I remember just saying like my life wasn't boring. Like I didn't have this I need more time thing. I mean, I have really cool jobs. I have a lot of, I'm a performer. I do burlesque. I'm like on stage a lot. I am a public figure. I have a very large following. I do a lot of stuff. So I had no regrets, which I think is really lucky. My surgery, they call it the hockey stick scar, the hockey stick incision. So it goes down here and then over to the side. It's actually pretty cool, but so I actually went into surgery pretty chill. Again, this was COVID, so my partner couldn't come in with me. He had to like drop me off at the door, and they were like, "This is your phone number, right?" So they could call him, and like that was it. But I remember being super calm going to surgery. I remember the lights. I remember the people, and that was it. That's all I remember. Oh God. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, surgery was worse than chemo. I'm just going to tell you this right now. Okay. I'm sure that's not true for everybody. I had 6 months of chemo and the surgery was worse. So they gave me an epidural to go into surgery and they couldn't get it. So it took them a few tries. And then I go into surgery, and I think I was in surgery longer than what they said. I still don't know because they never called my partner. We'll get there. I woke up feeling everything. So the surgery was done, but I woke up and immediately felt everything. Like I was like, I remember screaming. I thought I was in a dark room. I was not. I was like, I feel everything. Why do I feel all of this? I know you cut me open. Like I was like aware. And I'm like, I wonder if I subconsciously kind of knew that before I woke up, which is like even creepier. But and then they were like, yeah, the epidural didn't work. You have to sit up. Mind you, I have 35 staples, I think. And I had to sit up. They just cut my abs open. And I remember having to sit up, like screaming. I had to sit up, and they're trying the epidural again. And it's not working because they can't get it. Okay. So I think they ended up putting me on ketamine. And before I was let go, like to leave, she was telling me how to do the shots for the blood thinner shots. I could barely walk. I was disabled. I needed a walker. I couldn't go upstairs. I had to have nurses come twice a week at my house to check on me. And, my partner had to wash me. That was rough. I remember I caught myself in the mirror like leaving the shower, and I thought I looked like an alien. Like the body dysmorphia is interesting. Yeah. And the my scar healing was rough because my my boobs are so heavy that the scar going here wouldn't close. So that it was just gross. It was I couldn't getting out of bed as a whole thing because I'm healing, and I think that was much worse than my chemo experience. I remember I couldn't laugh or cry because it hurt. So I was like, everybody leave me alone. And my brother called, and my dad was just brought to the hospital because he was bleeding and they found a tumor and he had cancer. Literally, right when I got home. And I remember having to tell my brother, if dad dies, you can't tell me because I can't cry. Like, I can't process it. Um, my dad still has cancer, but he's alive. Yeah. So me and my dad actually had treatments at the same time. I had 6 months of chemo. I lost about 80% of my hair. I didn't choose to have a mohawk. The hair that was left happened to be on the top, so I grew a mohawk back. Um, so I lost hair. I did have neuropathy for the last half, and oh my god, that's so excruciating because I was told, oh, your hands and feet will be numb. And I'm like, I can't use my hands and everything hurts. I didn't know it was going to be that excruciating. I couldn't use my phone. To wash my hands hurt. To dry my hands hurt. I like really couldn't do anything towards the end there as far as work. Um, I had nausea, but I kept on top of the meds, like overlapping, and that was okay. Um, the fatigue is probably the worst part. I still have chronic fatigue. I wake up tired. I do. I have a trainer. I work out. It made me more tired. I thought I was going to get more energy. I did not. I gained a lot of weight because of the steroids, but I didn't care because they were like, well, we don't want you to lose weight because that's worse. That was new for me as a fat person, where a doctor wasn't upset that I gained. That was like crazy to me. So, yeah, the neuropathy was hard. The scar was hard, but that didn't stop me from modeling at all. It still doesn't. I thought it was going to hurt my income or my following or what have you, and it didn't at all. Like, at all. I still think that's crazy. Because I'm short and plus size with a very large scar, and I get a lot of work. Losing hair grows back. That's the least of my worries. But I'll tell you, showering and it falling out, that really did affect me, and I didn't think it was going to. That one surprised me. I didn't know my hair was so much of my identity. I have curly hair, and it was purple. I had purple hair for like a decade. So I didn't realize that was my identity as much as I thought. I really struggled with physical confidence and body dysmorphia through chemo. I still modeled. I cut a lot of it off and I still modeled. But I can tell I don't look as good. I don't, I can tell, but they're beautiful photos, but I can tell. And when I see photos of me with purple hair, I don't even know who that girl is. It's very weird. I'm like, who is that? She doesn't know anything. So I didn't even feel back in my body or like myself till 2 years post chemo. So that's like those 2 years. I don't even think I was connected to my body at all. So I didn't look at old photos of me probably till like this past year. When I talk to like friends my age, they're like complaining about like, I don't know, like the baby and the diapers or something. I'm over here like, oh, cool, I almost died. Like, I can't really, like, cool, I planned my gravestone. But yeah, tell me more about prices of diapers. So that was hard. So yeah, I can't relate to like my peers as much anymore. So when I look at old me, trust me, old me didn't have an easy life either. But, to me, she's like clueless. Yeah. During my chemo was when everyone was complaining about, I think it was milk prices or something, or gas, and now it's eggs, right? So everybody was complaining about gas, and I'm just like, that's so irrelevant to me. Like, I can't really, if gas is the only thing you have to complain about, well, lucky you, you know? So I feel like I aged quite a bit. Not in a bad way. My best friend went to every chemo with me. So I got to laugh my ass off through chemo, having a great time. So, and that says a lot about my upbringing. Like, where, yeah, I'll worry about that later. You know, I stay busy, stay focused, stay occupied. That's how I got through that. And then after chemo, I was like, I need a therapist. So whenever, because I'd always be like, I could die at any minute. Am I going to make it to 35? What do I have to get done? I feel like, what do I have to get done? To this day, I work too much because I feel like I have to put as much money away as possible for when I'm gone. All the time. Like my man is like, you don't have to work that much. I'm like, I have to work. I'm like, I could be gone. I have to get all this done now. So it catches up to me, and I'm like, ooh, I'm freaking out. And then I'll like book an appointment. Because I mean, I haven't even scratched the surface of how many things were happening at the same time. Um, so, um, I just keep going until it catches up, where some people are really good at keeping up with the mental part as you go. I mean, I had people like I barely even knew giving me medical advice. Why don't you if you had this fruit, maybe you wouldn't have had cancer. Because again, as a fat person, not the first time people have given me medical advice that is stupid. But that's enough to make a person go crazy. It was from strangers. It was from people I know. And it's like, or when they're like, you're so strong. I mean, did I have another choice? Are they then like a lot of people make it about themselves and then I'm comforting them? Like, okay, thanks. Like the layers of this are endless. Endless layers. I didn't really have a good relationship with my mom, and then she shows up at my door with food because I'm ill. Like what? There's so much. Oh, there's almost too much to process. I don't think I'll ever process all of it. I was told off the bat that I'm not clear until it's 5 years. So I wasn't like they were like, I'm not going to say you're clear until 5 years from now. Like I already knew that going into it. So I have 2 more years, but even then I have cancer genes. So for me, it's always there. I get my CAT scan. I get my breast exam. I have to alternate them. I need breast MRIs with my cancer genes. My insurance won't okay both. So I'll do this cancer screen first, and then I kind of try to get my breast one in there. So it's always on my radar. It will not go away. I call it, once my scan is clear, I'm like, cool, I have 6 months to chill. I have 6 months to do what I got to do, get my work done, do this and this, take my niece to school, and then I'll worry about it at the next one. It's just like everyone else's life. You have a period of okay, you have a period of not okay. It's honestly the same, only maybe ours is scarier. But I will say, now that I've had cancer, doctors really listen to me much better. I'm like, oh, I don't care what new doctor I need. I'll just walk right in there and I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Cancer card, cancer card, cancer card. So like I've wanted my tubes tied for over a decade. After I had cancer, they're like, do you want a hysterectomy? I was like, oh, well, this is nice. People need to talk about death more. And I know that sounds bummer, but the whole point that it sounds bummer is my point. If we talked about death more freely, if people wrote down what they wanted, things that they want, songs, music, where I want to be buried, how I want to be buried, if we talked about these things normally and before we were 88 or 98, this wouldn't be as tough. because half of the panic was, I got to get this in order. Whose name is on my bank account? Blah, 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 blah. What do I want to do with this, and this? Who am I leaving my stuff to? What is my legacy? They literally call them legacy projects when you do stuff like this. So the logical advice I would give is to talk about death and death planning more. That's the death doula in me saying that, which I got trained for during chemo. That would be my logical thing. And then secondly, which is kind of adjacent to, is obviously live your life. I mean, I'm an example of living my life no matter who cares what I'm doing. I don't care what other people think. And I had no regrets. So I was raised Roman Catholic. I'm first generation Italian. Okay. If I was old me going through this, I would have a lot of regrets. I haven't done anything. I wouldn't even wear clothes that look good on me because I had to hide. I would be more conservative. And I chose, not saying that's wrong for people. Just for me, I wouldn't be able to express myself and find myself and enjoy myself and fun and do things that an Italian-American family would not approve of. And I had a really interesting, fun, artsy life, and I would not have had that. So when I say do what you want to do, I mean that. I was a retail manager for a plus-size store and saw 50-year-old women not wanting to wear a tank top because their mom wouldn't want them showing their arms. And I'm like, at 50, ain't gonna be me. Okay? So I can say that I thought I was gonna die and had no regrets. That's where you want to get to.